Hey everyone, this is Kirk Almighty. Welcome back. This is episode 9 of my gameplay series versus AI++. And we are in December now, still winter, so I was still able to fly these planes up here, no mud. I spent some time on this turn. I think I probably sat here looking at this map for, I don't know, maybe a good 30 minutes and just cycling through and looking at my units, looking at their readiness and their action points, and spent a lot of time thinking where my weaknesses are. I feel like if I make one mistake here somewhere that it could cost me the game. I mean, little things I can get away with, but a major mistake, it could cost me the game. I still believe that my two weak points, well, this is my primary weak point in the northern front. The northern front I worry about the most because it's literally 75%, if not 80%, of his force has been directed at the north. With the rest coming here down the south. It's probably about 80-20. Maybe 75-25. But so I worry the most about this. Unfortunately, this is my most defensive position on the board, so if he's going to hit me hard somewhere, I'd rather be up here than down there. That's one thing I can tell you. If I were playing a human, it would not be going like this. A human wouldn't be throwing 80% of everything he had at this river. He'd be throwing 80% of everything he had down here before I pushed it up to the river where he had open terrain to work with. So definitely a mistake by the AI there, I think, and a mistake that I'm capitalizing on at the moment. Hopefully it continues to be so. I was examining this line in the north, and I believe my two weakest points are here and here, with this of course being my weakest point, because this is in, like I said, open plains, nothing here. I built a fortification there, and it lasted one turn. He's got so much artillery pounding on it now, I just wasted it, so there's nothing I can build there that's going to withstand all that artillery, so it's just pointless to go back there and try and build something else. And my engineer got damaged sitting there from all the artillery that hit it. I committed both my dive bombers to this stack of artillery over here this round. This is the largest stack of artillery he's got over here. I think I killed, I maybe destroyed 5 of them. And then I destroyed some other things over here too. I think a couple of the armored cars he's got sitting there, and maybe a couple of infantry guns. Almost thinking I should have split it, maybe sent one of them over here, because this guy is also pounding on him too. He's concentrating his artillery fire here. The AI has made a determination that this is where he wants to break through. And I guess if you're going to try and break through somewhere up here, that's an ideal place to do it. The one fortunate thing I have working for me is that it's a narrow corridor. He only attacks from this direction. So I've got another second artillery piece coming in back here, a field artillery piece, so I can continue to pound on these guys and hopefully keep them, at least the infantry guys, keep their readiness down enough and their action points and whatever, just cause enough problems there that it'll take a little off the attack that comes here. I need more, I wish I could have another air base here, like right now, full of dive bombers, just to sit here and just pound on these artillery pieces back here that keep pounding on me. I feel like with so much force up here and so much armor, that a breach that he could sustain, the AI could sustain, could just turn into a disaster, like a game-losing disaster. Like the armor would just come pouring through like ants. I feel that this is the most vulnerable spot. But this spot too, potentially vulnerable, because if he were to actually, this is more defensible terrain. Don't get me wrong. And it's the same thing. He can only attack from one corridor here. So I don't feel as though this spot is as vulnerable. It also gives the terrain also gives it more resilience versus artillery, which right now he seems to be targeting his artillery over here, not even over here. So this is a spot I don't think is in the kind of imminent danger that this spot could be in, because up here he is targeting the spot with his artillery. He's built a road directly to it. Of course, he also built a road directly to here. I think if he were to take, say, this guy and actually push me back, I'd be able to counterattack from 3, possibly 4 different directions, depending on what kind of shape these guys are in. I think I could take it back. And that would be the situation for most places if you actually did breach across the river too. What little would actually come across the river, I'd be able to attack it from multiple directions and take it back. So I don't worry too much about breaches coming across the river, although he doesn't even attack across this one. Okay, so down here, coming across the river here, or here, this would be a little more difficult to try and take back if you were to take that, and if you were to establish a link, some kind of road, could be trouble down here, but nothing like this. This, if he were to push me back, he would actually succeed in one of his attacks and push me out of there, and I wasn't able to automatically come and retake it back. And his engineer in the next turn, I know, would just follow up with the road to there. It could quickly balloon into an escalating disaster up here. The armor could just start pouring through there like ants, like I said. So I do worry a lot about that northern front up there. But with that said, expressing all of my fears and worries about the north here, I will say that things are going okay. I mean, I can't complain. I'm getting a little more artillery out there. I tried to build an aircraft factory this turn, but I ended up short on supply, and I actually increased my supplies production a little bit this turn in anticipation of that, but I didn't increase it enough. So I had to pump it up quite a bit this round to try and make sure that I had enough extra left over to do it. You can see that was what was requested last turn, so hopefully I'm actually going to have the excess this time around. So I'm not producing as many PPs. I applied some of that production that was going to PPs last round into supply, some of it into increasing reinforcements across here. In particular, I got a lot of riflemen coming into this guy. Since I couldn't make the factory, I actually spent a little bit of those PPs. I spent 10 creating 2 HQs and then a couple more counters for artillery. I think what I did here is I noticed I was getting really bad staff percentages here, and I wanted to kind of take a little of the weight off of these guys, because once you start adding artillery to these armies down here, artillery sucks up a lot of their staff, and I don't want them to get too far out of range of that. I also noticed all of my, well, not all of them, but in particular the 2 armies in the north, mostly, probably because of all the anti-tanks I added to them, that their staff was just too low and they need more. So I have more staff going to both of these guys. I got a little more staff going to everybody, but these guys down the south, not so bad. See, he's over 100%. He's over 100%. They're all over 100%. And yeah, I think I sent staff to all of these guys too, and I may have to adjust my production on that because it doesn't look like they even need it. He's going to need some staff though, but these guys won't. But so that's what I did. So I created 2 field artillery HQs. I did create a template for it to get something in there, just a couple of trucks, and let's see, artillery HQ. A couple of trucks, 10 staff to start with for now. Auto staff is on, so if I get any extra staff into the Supreme HQ and he needs it, he can just pull it. And this will help. I've done this before. I've created just artillery HQs, and then just kind of sit back here, and all the artillery units behind the line just kind of operate off of that HQ, and sometimes it works pretty good for me. So that's what I did here. No leaders on that one, but I guess I could add a leader later on. We'll have to see. I don't know how necessary it will be to have a leader on that artillery, but it helps to relieve these guys. Oh yeah, look at Mr. Prince Kotahito here. he's been right in the center of the action here, trying to push on this road. So he's been getting lots of combat experience, and he's up to level 6 now. He's my highest level commander. 3 cards. What's this one? Inundate, Volunteers, Hold. I may use that Hold card on occasion. I really never use Inundate. Volunteers. I could get in a panic situation where I might actually need that. Yeah. And then I was back here, I'm looking, because last round I discovered all these factories just everywhere back here. And yep, there's another one right there. I guess he's just building one every round now, so that puts him at, I think 8 factories now, and I'm at 2. I got 2 factories. Hopefully 3 next round here. I gotta get an aircraft factory up. My idea is I'm going to go aircraft factory and then armor factory. I still have the idea of creating a tank model. Hopefully I can get this area cinched up between now and then and continue to hold up here. But I do want to create a tank model for light tank. And it's going to be basically a tank killer is what I want to create. I want to create a light tank that's going to be kind of a tank killer. And I want to go any heavier than that, because like I said, my experience with AI is, yes, he's continuing with light tanks. My experience has been that once you go heavier, he goes heavier. So if I go up into a medium, he's going to start making mediums. And honestly, I want him to keep making light tanks. And the reason for that is because anti-tank guns are more effective against light tanks than they are heavier tanks. And as long as what he keeps throwing at me are armored cars and light tanks, I'm going to keep just blowing the hell out of him with anti-tank guns every time he attacks me, which is the way it's been going right now. Let's have a look at the kills. These are just kills I inflicted on him, on my attacks on him. His losses when he attacked me on his turn were horrendous as usual. I think I lost about 80 infantry type units. He lost 2 or 3 times that. I think 6 tanks, 6 artillery pieces, a little bit of everything else, some mortars and all sorts of things. So right now, this is where we're at here. I think I'm still well above my 3-to-1 kill ratio that I want to have on him. Probably above 4-to-1. I wonder how many tanks I've killed now. Let's see. Only 6 light tanks. 43 armored cars I've killed. That's a lot of armored cars. Probably starting to get a lot of field artillery now just from these bombing raids. 1 there, 10 there, 3 there. Not as much as I'd like. I really want to get rid of that artillery. They are a killer. I do not like them. Yeah. Well, this video I see now is getting a little long, so I think we'll go ahead and wrap this one up here, and we'll see what the AI does on his turn, and hopefully I can hold up here. I need to hold this position. And I did something else up here too. I'll just mention real quick. I created a new model for these AT guns, and I'm just in certain positions where basically all I did is I took the horses out, because these guys are not going to need that mobility, and it'll lower the stack points just a little bit, because a horse adds 1 stack per horse, so bring down the stack points a little there. I did it here also and here. My 3 weakest points that I don't think I'm going to need that mobility. Back here I might need that mobility for counterattacks, but here, here, and here not so much. I want to lower the stack points. I think it'll just benefit me. Those horses don't do anything. They have no combat values, just some hit points to defend themselves, and that's it. Okay, folks. Well, appreciate you tuning in, and catch the next episode.